Okay, everyone, what's up? I've been seeing a couple Reddit posts, I've been seeing a couple comments, I've been seeing people talk, and I have to let you know, okay, that Numemon will be the best deck in the format again, okay? I'm sorry to say Magna X is not the boogeyman that you all thought. Magna X will not be taking the spotlight from Numemon, and I'm gonna go over why. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my deck list, okay, and why this is, I think, as perfect of a deck list as you can get. The deck is super homogenized now. There's some like really niche margins that you can argue over. I think that overall, this is what you're going to use. Going past that, I'm going to explain one of the level 5s, because I've been seeing a lot of people say, oh, this is weird tech, why are you running it, etc., etc. This card is game warping, it is matchup breaking, it is one of the most powerful cards that you can be running, so keep that in mind. And then from there, I'm going to talk about what you can do against the deck. There's very little that you can actually do against this deck now, which is so unfortunate, but it is what it is. As more formats come out, obviously the power level decks keep going up, so eventually Numemon will be about on par, but until the new EX set or the BT17 set, I think this is the best deck that you can run, and you should expect to see this in, I'm going to say, at least 50% of your matchups coming into the tournaments that are coming up, as well as I think this deck will probably take the first tournament by and large with a over 30 to 40% top cut. But let's get into the list. We're playing 4 of the Numemon and 1 of the Ukkomon. That's right, black base is now the best base, confirmed. Alright, there was an argument always for purple before this, but now that there are so many decks that you need Digivolve in the back to actually compete with, black base is the better base. Even with the new Ukkomons coming out, you still have enough black rookies that you can realistically Digivolve in the back on your turn 1 or your turn 2, which allows you to actually start fighting for tempo a lot easier in certain matchups, especially when you're not going first, and even if you're going first sometimes. For those of you who don't know, the Numemon, when Digivolving, or specifically when another Digimon Digivolves, you draw a card. Once per turn, not all turns, once per turn, your turn. And then the Ukkomon, the best egg to Digivolve on top of, is on deletion, on your opponent's turn, draw 1. Nothing too special there. Those are still the same. And then up next, we've got 2 Chumon and 2 Chikuremon. Starting with the Chikuremon, because I think these are our worst rookies. They are still pretty good. There are a couple decks that like hard play that we just hard lose to, like Royal Knights. We have a very hard time beating them, aside from just like rushing to kill them. So this is like a win matchup for that. But even more so, it allows you to play very greedily into like a Death X, which is nice. Death X is more prevalent and less prevalent than it used to be in certain matchups. So like this card doesn't help us against Numemon anymore. To play greedy, you have to always kind of play a little conservatively against Numemon, which is fine because you're always like kind of just like fighting for board rather than trying to go super wide. And just trying to take your opponent out of resources in that matchup. In the mirror match specifically. So this doesn't help because they're probably not going to be playing Death X anymore because they have a 7-cost Death X already with the Valkyrie Ace that you can just hard play and wipe all your small stuff anyways. So that's something to keep in mind. But against other matchups, it allows you to play really greedily into a Death X, which is nice. It requires them to have 2 cards rather than 1 to actually out it. To out your board, I mean. And then Chumon, it just makes some like kind of like difficult matchups auto wins. Like Luga, if you end up with like a Chumon or 2 on field, they kind of just have to scoop. There's not much they can really do against it because their combo is so memory heavy, and they rely on getting back so much memory from their turn, from their Digimons themselves throughout the turn. A single Chumon and then putting them to like 2 or less memory will consistently make them have to find a way to remove it or essentially pass while building up a smaller board and not being able to go to the full OTK. And this is just one of the 2 cards that we play that kind of auto wins that matchup. It also has some utility against Mirage, though Mirage has a really easy time bouncing a Chumon and can bounce 2 Chumon depending on their hand. So it's not something you can fully rely on as a way to survive. And then up next, we got 4 of the promo Ukkomon. This one's really nice. And we still play it at 4 because of the memory gain. That's the main reason that I like it, is the memory gain really allows it to hit that 3 memory threshold a lot easier. which is like the cutoff point for our deck a lot of the time, being that 3 memory threshold. It also really helps with aggression. You can just kind of kill your opponent very, very quickly. It also gives you card draw with the Numemons. So it's our memory gain, card draw, and aggression engine, which is super funny. Speaking of aggression engine, while also doing something else, 4 of the BT16 Ukkomons. This lets you build very uniquely in the deck, because now you can build a bit more greedily. I haven't chosen to. I don't think that that's the move. I think the deck is so good as just a consistent toolbox, and just seeing this makes it even more consistent, which is completely fine. It adds aggression, it adds consistency. It's a great turn 1 play, where you Digivolve in the back. It punishes your opponent in the mirror match if they Digivolve into their own BT16 Ukko, because then the next thing that they'll do is pass you to 3, which is perfect for you, because now that you're at the 3 memory threshold, you push out, you get a search for 3, you can search your top 3, as well as your draw for turn, pull out a Numemon, and then ideally go into a bear, or something of the like, or even going back into a Ukkomon again, putting them back into 1, is like the most broken turn 1 thing that you can actually do. It's a great way to punish your opponent for going into their own Ukkomon. And that's all for the rookies. We're playing... Oh, actually, that's a lie. We got one more rookie. Pillowmon. So we've got 4, 8, 12, 13 rookies. This one doesn't really count, though, because you can't Digivolve into it. This one I have in the deck because of our most difficult matchup being... the most difficult matchup that we can actually tank against. Is the Numemon matchup, where Pillowmon lets you fight for board pretty convincingly. If you go into a Monze-X playing out the pillow and then deleting a Monzemon with a Nume-X, a Nume-X, or a Platinum, it's super backbreaking because you've taken away so much tempo from them that they weren't expecting to lose. And even if they can kind of answer your bit a little bit, your board a little bit by making use of your Pillowmon, you still kind of like hit them in the... You kneecap them, you've hit them in the knee with like a fucking jackhammer, which feels really good for trying to slow down how quickly they're going to kill you and let you kind of start fighting for board a lot better. This is a double-edged sword, so keep that in mind. And it's not that impactful against a lot of other matchups. It has some utility against like Magnamon, because the Davises can't play out, or like the BT13 Royal Knight Magnamon can't play out either. But it's specifically here just for Numemon as a way to kind of fight back for tempo when you're losing tempo. And this card's won me a couple games there. I think it's pretty important to have at least a copy of it. Moving on to the Numemons. For Jerrymon, yeah, he just draws. There's nothing special about the guy here. He just draws. That's it. I hate this card. I wish it had an inheritable so fucking bad, but it's fine. It's a drawer. We love consistency. We love drawing cards. It also sets up your trash for you, which is really nice. Playing 4 of the BT14 blocker Nume. That's right, I call this one the blocker Nume, not the rush Nume, because I use the rush sometimes, but the main reason I like it is the blocker inherit makes your life so strong. We're gonna put one of these guys over here because he comes up with the level 5 in question that I mentioned earlier. But I play 4 of them because I think they are the best supplementary Numemon available to you. Let me grab... Is it this guy? No, it's not. The fuck? Oh, I fucking pulled off a lot top. Jesus. Okay, sorry. Let me play 1 of the RB1 Nume. It's okay. I like it. It's good to get deleted. It's the best Nume to play out on your turn 1 in the mirror match, because it lets you recoup some of your losses even if your opponent deletes it by going Nume into bear, which is good. And it's just like a name. You need like a surplus of like Nume names to actually be really happy in this deck. 4 of the arguable best card in the deck. There's 2 cards in the deck that are like fighting for best spot right now of like in archetype engine stuff. We're not gonna count like Valkyries or anything like that. Just in archetype engine. This is one of the best cards ever printed, I think, in Digimon. Being able to float into a level 6 is so strong. Being able to float into a level 4 on deletion consistently is also really, really strong. God, it's so good. I love him to death. Moving on to our level 5s. The obvious contenders are 4 RB1 Monze. You know, he does what Monzemon does. I'm sorry for not going super in depth. I've made like 2 other videos on Numemon, so if you want a more in-depth guide of like what each of these cards do and like their intricate combos and stuff, you can go check that out. This is just kind of like a general overview of what I think the list is kind of evolved into. It's homogenized a lot. I don't think that you can really change too much about this list and feel good about it. I think that this is like probably the peak Monzemon, at least until new tech is discovered. But yeah, 4 RB1, nothing too special. Into like the other arguable best deck in the best card in the format, Monze X. God, it's so oppressive. Sticking a Monze X is disgustingly strong. Getting 2 is backbreaking. Even just going Digivolve for 3 into a Digivolve for 3 no effect is still backbreaking as a way of like just threatening your opponent that anything that they play out will be getting deleted no matter what. Is so good. Wins against Magna, wins against the Nume matchup. If your opponent does an OTK, you could help against Mirage. Same thing for Luga. Helps against Tyrant. God, it's just so oppressively strong. I think if they were going to hit the power level of the deck, it would probably be Monze X. But we'll see. Up next, we've got this one's a proxy. I have a couple other copies. I just didn't want to go pull it off my other decks. 3 Etemon. This is such a strong card, such an overpowering card. We will get over it. We'll go ahead and put it to the side, but just keep in mind that this card is disgustingly broken. That's all for level 5s. We're playing... Oh, I forgot to do the level 4s as well. My apologies. Let me go ahead and count them up. We got 4, 12, 13 level 4s, and 11 level 5s. And then moving into our megas here, we've got 3 platinums. I think any more than 3 is a little bricky, but you do consistently kind of want to see him. Feels great, feels good. I like him a lot. Obviously, you know what Platinum does. He's been a menace for the entire format, and he's going to continue to be a menace for even longer. And then we've got... My bad, sorry. That was Valcase next. It's 2 Venusmon. This card's also really good. It's disgusting how good the top end of this deck is. It's so annoying how good, because like you're like, ooh, 2 Venus. I think I like 3. It's like, oh, well, I like 2. It's like, well, that's like the amount that you currently fight on. The deck space is so tight now, though. It's so hard to find a really good ratio that I feel happy with, because Venus is your only answer that's consistent against Mirage. Dropping a Venus into a Venus will win you the game almost every time, and you can search it now with the new Ukkomon, so it's like you can try getting it a lot more consistently. So that's why I feel comfortable dropping it to 2. It's so unfortunate because I do really want it at 3 though. This card is really disgusting. It's good in the mirror. It's good against almost every deck in the format, but it does have the most utility against Lugamon and against Mirage. So good. But unfortunately, it's not good enough anymore. Alright, it's not good enough. It's too reliant on you having set up a board that I don't think it's as good. Up next, we got 3 Valkyrie Mones. I don't know what to say. This card is one of the worst things they've ever printed ever into the game. Holy, this is just a preview of what aces are going to be like from here on out, and they are godly. They are so strong. For context, on play when Digivolving, you know, give minus 5k to your opponent for the turn, which is good, and then all turns when a security check is when a security is checked, delete an 8k or less, and then if something wasn't deleted, get security check +1 until the end of your turn. So it can be upwards of a security check +3. So good, so very strong. And then on to the level 7s, playing a Shine Greymon Ruin mode. I want to play 2 so bad, but like I said, deck space is very limited. But 2 would be, I think, the ideal. And now onto the Tamers. 2 Satsuki. I like the ratios of 4-2. I think 3 is a little bricky. You want to see her every once in a while. She's really nice, again, for getting that 3 memory threshold. You get like a Satsuki out early, it's like fine. And then just keeping 1 in hand for the rest of the games. That way you have an extra rusher just in case. Just getting that extra memory consistently is really, really good. And then the jamming and reboot come up a lot. Into a Louis. I like Louis a lot as well. He's like kind of like under Satsuki for game in a way, as like a way to try and cheat out a lethal. But more importantly, he's a way to kind of immediately get value out of your Ukkomons, which feels good. Getting a immediate value from your Ukkos while still keeping turn is really, really impactful. And so I usually play him out as a way of getting a bit of early value out of a Ukkomon or two, which will come up. And then finally, the last card, Protoform. Again, another card I really want it too, but it's not good if I see it in multiples, unfortunately. I only want to see one of these, and the deck is draw heavy enough now that I think that 1 is the ideal amount, unfortunately. Okay, that's the deck list. Now I'm going to talk about Etemon. I'm going to gush about Etemon, alright? Listen to me. Buy these now. Buy 4 copies of these. Alright, I don't think 4 is the right ratio right now, mind you, but buy 4 copies of these because it will come up at some point. This card is broken. This card is broken. For those of you who know what like Laplace Demon does, or the weird like hybrid black Digimon, the mirror one, does, that's what this card is basically. But it's in a level 5, okay? So that's what makes it so good, is it's a 1 card combo rather than having a Tamer or level 3 to go into a 4 and then going into a new 5 on top of that, or needing the option card plus a Digimon in play already that meets these requirements. You can shove this in any deck. In any deck. You can shove this in any deck. Any deck. Keep that in mind. Any deck. Okay? You can just hard play this guy for 7. You're like, 7? That's a lot. Listen. One of my favorite decks to play is Dark Master's Control. Giving your opponent a lot of memory only matters really early on against certain decks. Most decks cannot make huge use of the amount of memory that you are giving them, first and foremost. Second, it doesn't matter if you're stopping your opponent from playing the game. This is a black and yellow Digimon. Any new black or yellow ace that comes out that's a level 6 can make use of this card instantly. You have to get it. It is so strong. It has incidental synergy with our deck. The inheritable, being able to play out a level 3, a 3 cost or less black or yellow Digimon, comes up. But here's the ideal play. All right, Digivolving for 4 on top of this Numemon here. Let's say your opponent has a Magna X set up. You know, they go turn 2, Magna X. Disgusting. Blech, vomiting. Vomit-inducing card. Horrible, horrible, horrible. They go straight into a Magna X. You go Numemon. You go Digivolve for 4. You put them to 4. Okay, fine. Target their Magna X. Their Magna X is invulnerable, but you still attempt to give it minus 3k and start their main phase that Shimon attacks. Great. Their turn. This is a lingering effect. So when they are no longer affected, they're no longer unaffected, the effect will then trigger onto them. Because it's always there, it's always there, it's always checking. Think of it like you apply a status condition to them, and it says, oh, we're immune to status conditions. That's fine. The status is still around them, they're just not being affected by it. But then the moment it becomes their turn, that immunity breaks, and now the status chokes them. And so now their Magna X goes from minimum 12k to, if it's the ideal stack, it's 12, 13, 14, 15k. DP. Great. Fine. They promote their Digimon, or they don't promote because they're like, I know what's going to happen. They swing in with the Magna X because they have to. They can't give it immunity first. They can't do anything. And then you blast Digivolve into a Valkyrie Ace for 0 memory, giving their board minus 5k total now. And then you block with Valkyrie Ace, or you block with another level, Monze X, because Monze X beats it now, or you can block it with a Venus or Platinum, because Venus and Platinum beat it now, because it's got minus 8k. Even at the highest 15, it's still only 7k. That means a Numemon crashes into it if it has blocker. Any of your level 5s with blocker, or any of your level 6s with blocker, beat the Magna X. They swing into it, it dies, and then the Numemon underneath it immediately dies because it's got minus 8k, 3 from the Eta, 5 from the Valk, and that dies. And then if it's the BT16 one, they can then try to play out another Numemon, and then that will die immediately because the Valkyrie Ace. Now they're working underneath a Ruin mode effect for the remainder of the turn. The only thing that Magna X can do is play out another Numemon. Great. We swing in for a check. If it lives, we delete the Numemon. If they did not play out a Numemon, we swing in for a second check off of this guy by itself. It is broken, broken, broken. This whole combo here is disgusting. And you can get it off minimum 2 to 3 times a game. Not necessarily the Valkyrie Ace itself, but even Etemon for 4, if you can keep the turn and then going onto a Magna X and then digivolving into one of your other level 4 or level 6s like the Venus, you immediately will delete the Magna X at least, and they'll have to go into another Magna X, which is fantastic. Obviously this is the best option. And this isn't even saying other combos and again synergies. I've mentioned this in other videos, so I'll just make a quick mention. Hard playing when you have an Etemon, when you have a Monza X on play. This is a minus 7k body, all right, for 7. Give something minus 7k and it has to attack. Just targeting something like that, it will probably die. I think I've lost a game because my opponent didn't die in security, but that's because they were 3k. The amount of huge bodies we are not playing in this deck, I think out rivals like the fact that we typically play smaller bodies as well, because you'll get your opponent down to like 3 to 1k if they live on average, depending on the Digimon. Like giving minus 7,000 to a Venus immediately puts it at 3,000. Giving minus 7,000 to a Valk is 3k as well. Jakuri's beat it. Any level 5 beats it. Any level 6 beats it. Like, it's so good. Just hard playing this for 7 and then blasting again into a Valk Ace. That's minus 4, 7, 12. Like, there's... I don't know what you want from me. This is disgusting. You have to pick up your Etemons now. This is not a niche tech card. This is not something that is, oh, okay, well, maybe it's only good against Magna X, but I mean, it's still a tough matchup, so we need to grab it because the Magna X is super important. No, this is something you need to pick up for every matchup. Your opponent has a Monzai X, and they've just wiped your board. You have nothing in the back. You digivolve into an Ukkomon. Fuck, dude. What do we do? They've got a Monzai X, they've got a Numemon, they've got a Numemon, they got a Numemon X antibody with the guy underneath, they got a rookie. Like, they're set up for lethal this turn, okay? Because they went super wide. Alright, you're cooked. You're fucked. They don't have a platinum and trash? Okay. Etemon. Target the Monzai X. Monzai X swings in. Valk Ace. Nuke their whole board. They cannot float if they don't have a platinum in trash. They cannot float at all if they don't have a platinum in trash. You end up with 2 to 3 level 5s out against Mirage. They can never swing against you comfortably. They can't. They can't swing against you comfortably. It's over for them if they swing against you comfortably. Same thing against Luga. If you end up with 2 to 3 level 5s and they can't delete them before getting before swinging with their combo, Valk Ace will hurt them so much. They'll give minus 5k to one of the other bodies. It won't die, mind you, and you'll give minus 5k to their Lugamon. Then they'll get 1k off of the security check. Then the next alliance they do, that'll put them down to, I think it's 8k, which is still in deletion range for Valkyrie Ace if they try checking again, which is super, super disgusting. But even then, you can still delete one of the extra bodies off of the guy, off of the first check that you were able to blast Digivolve onto. Against against Tyrant, this card is just there as a way to rush them down. That's it. You're trying to beat Tyrant down face first. You don't need to deal with them in like a meaningful way because you have other ways to deal with them because they're so slow. You can just stack up Monzai X's. These two cards, I can't explain to you guys how important these two cards are for the deck going forward as like a concept, as like a utility engine that just outs so many problematic boards and lets you fight back in ways that you couldn't fight back before. They're so impactful. And they're not niche. I promise you. I've seen so many comments saying like, "Oh, that's weird. Most people aren't running Etemon." Run 2 to 3 Etemon, please God. It will change your life. What this card does for you. I've seen Nirvana. I've never had higher highs or lower lows than when I've seen or not seen my Etemon. Gosh. Anyways, I promised I would talk about what you can do for the deck as a way to counter it. Okay. So there's 2 different ways you can play. And none of them feel great, I'm gonna be honest with you. So, something you always have to keep in mind is the Etemon. You have to. If you have a 4000 DP body, the Etemon is always live, meaning the Valkyrie Ace is always live, meaning that you can get Ruin Mode against your will at any point. So that's something you have to keep in mind. As long as you're keeping that in mind, and you're playing underneath it as best as you can, that's all you can really do there. Destroying this card as soon as you see it. Kill this guy straight to hell. Send him to Kingdom Come. I don't care what you need to do. Send him to hell as quickly as you can. Other than that, your opponent is me. Alright, I'm playing Numemon. I play out a Numemon for 3 for turn, and I pass you. If you kill this guy, you set me back. It's not as devastating as it used to be, but it's still rough. If you can ever stop me from creating a board, you will win the game 100% of the time. The problem is that my deck is now so efficient at creating a board that's very, very difficult for any deck to stop me from doing that. And that's something to keep in mind. Trying to play around Etta, trying to play around the Monzai X, and trying to stop me from creating a board. It's so difficult to do. So difficult to do, especially when my deck at any point can just kill you on turn 3. From turn 3 onwards, we can kill you pretty consistently. I feel like I'm dooming you guys a little bit, and in some ways I am, for sure. It is very doomer how homogenized the deck has become and how this format will be played around it. The best deck against us is Mirage, and that's because it ignores us. It goes underneath us and just tries to kill us as quickly as possible with a 6-check combo. It also bounces us, which is the best removal against us. Deleting us doesn't feel that great. Bouncing us is awful for us. So, those are things to kind of just keep in mind. Non-deletion removal. Stopping them from creating a board. Removing their hard DP reduction engines. And trying your best to play around a Ruin Mode on your turn. That also gives minus 8,000 DP to something, and then can delete something with 8,000 or less DP again. And if they have these 2 out, and something lives, and you swing in again anyways, and they play out a thing off the top, that's another minus 6,000 to something in particular. So, yeah, that's something to kind of keep in mind. God, I'm sorry, it feels a little doomer, but there's not much else I can say. There's not really that many great ways to beat this deck, and unironically, I think I've lost a set, and that's because I misplayed. And it was against the mirror, so that's it. Like this deck feels so gross, dude. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. Anyways, peace. Leave a like, subscribe, kisses.